Switch camera. Okay, here we go. Hello, anybody out there? Oh. We will close that. Yes. Normally I do all this before we start.
How's Joan doing down?
I haven't heard from Joe. Not heard from the young man. Okay. I'm gonna make this guy a little bit bigger. Raise my mouse. Not working. Oh. My battery died on my. Let's have to. I'm gonna put this guy down just a little bit more. Go. Minimize this. Participants. Me. But remember, we are broadcasting, so whatever you say may be held against you. May be held liable for anything. We're not going to have a meeting next week.
We are not having a meeting next week.
This is Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'll get a break.
Get a break. It's arduous.
This coming Sunday, we're going to Annabelle's house for a party. We had a birthday party yesterday. 2 weeks ago, we had another Mother's Day. I'm kind of a little. Can we spread them out just a little bit, you know?
Hey, Steve. Oh, you Steve? Okay, are you muted? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, we can hear
How
you.
you doing, guys?
Good.
Hey, we always get, I always get paranoid when we first start up. I'm not sure if I did everything right, so.
So far, so good.
You're better than me with the computers.
Hey, let me move this a little bit. There we go. Get Ed a little more balanced. You turn off the backlighting, yeah.
So what have you been working on, Steve?
I just made up a single bed for one of my daughters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm always working on something though.
Yeah.
Oh, are you the one that mentioned a few weeks ago that Baltic birch plywood was like $210 a sheet?
I did mention it. There was somebody else that mentioned it too, but maybe it was Steve.
Yeah, well, I called our local lumber yard and they still have a supply of it and it's $110 a sheet.
For 3/4?
Yeah, 3/4 inch Baltic birch,
Yeah.
4x8. And then
Really?
if you just want, he called it clear birch, 3/4 inch plywood, they have it for $35 a sheet.
They call it clear birch.
He just said clear birch, whatever that, I've never heard.
Okay.
It's a low quality plywood. In fact,
uh,
I got some right here.
Because I
Oh.
get some birch plywood too, that's it's got no voids in it, and it's almost half the price of Baltic birch. Because I can't keep up with the prices of the
Can
Baltic.
you see
birch.
that?
Yeah, I see that. That's
Baltic birch, that's a high quality Baltic birch.
right.
And then this is the next, this is the low quality. Right
Oh,
next.
it's got heavier
Yeah.
the thicker plies.
oh,
The stuff that I've been using is about half as much as the Baltic birch, and
yeah,
it's got 8 plies for the 3/4,
okay,
which it looks almost the same as Baltic birch.
yeah.
And I hear somebody said it's kind of it's getting a little bit better.
Well, I was intrigued for like templates and stuff like that. I don't need, really, really high quality. I like to have good quality, but right now I've got enough to keep me going for a while without running out buying. We just went to the lumberyard on Friday and bought, together, we bought, what about 75 board feet of black limba.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
We're good to go for a while.
You use much of the ebony?
I have quite a bit of it, but I mostly use it for accent or little
Right.
knot, that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
The only reason I bought it, I had a client or a customer up in Reno, Nevada that wanted a chessboard. And he absolutely insisted that the dark squares be ebony.
Oh, wow.
But I've been able to pick it up at a reasonable price, and so I have 17 pieces that are 3 inches wide, 24 inches long, an inch thick. Ebony.
Uh-huh. I've got pieces yet that are between 6 and 12 inches wide
Wow.
and almost 3 feet in length. But I picked this stuff up. It cost me a few $100s. I picked up about 250 pounds of it because it's sold by the pound
Yeah.
Right.
over here. I don't know how, if they sell it by board foot there but it's sold by weight here.
It's sold by weight.
And, pardon?
It's sold by weight here.
Yeah,
also.
right. It's sold by weight here too. And I must have about 110, 115 pounds left of it yet.
Yeah. I haven't seen that white of ebony anymore. I mean, it's around here, it's scarce. There's a really nice lumberyard tool place down in Orange County, and they were carrying it for a while. They don't have any at all, and nobody in this area really has any. So, but
We're going to start the meeting. In fact, this would be a good topic to start off with when in a few minutes, in 4 minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give it a
you
few.
ever
more.
buy anything from Woodpecker?
No, I did not.
Okay, because
I was looking to, but my squares and that are just as good as what they've got.
well, they sell lumber now also.
Oh, they do.
Very exotic stuff, but all small pieces, like up to 5 inches wide, and everything is like 2 to 3 feet. And that's where I got the ebony. And at one time, their pricing is all over the map. One time, a piece of that was $60.
Okay.
Wow.
Hello, unmute, Michelle.
Yes, hi guys.
Hey,
Ooh. Oh, thank you, thank you. See, I heard gas is almost up to $7 out there.
It's over 7 in north of San Francisco, right? It's 745 or 750.
Oh,
gallon.
I just got gas.
Oh, I'm
in
sorry,
my
that's
truck.
not gas, it's diesel.
I just got gas in my my truck, and it was $6.20 for
Yep,
89 unleaded.
that's what I paid yesterday, $6.29.
wow.
I
It's
put
almost $5 here.
That's Don't,
Yeah,
don't
and
get
the
us
state of
started.
California has like a $60 billion surplus. Okay?
Yeah,
So
nobody's buying and traveling.
unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
anyway. So how'd your day go, Michelle?
Oh, busy. I'm tired. My butt even hurts. I did too much cutting and getting ready to start some more projects.
Okay. Always have to have a backlog of projects. Always.
Oh, yeah, I do, which is awesome. Keeps me out of my husband's hair. Ugh.
Okay. Well, what do you say? We'll keep coming back to it, but before you came on, we were talking, or Steve and Ed were talking about ebony. Steve, you got a good selection of ebony, and it's pretty expensive stuff. Ed's got a good supply of it. I have enough for what I
Yeah.
need. I make ebony. I make the fretboards out of ebony if I have it.
Ooh,
But what I wanted to bring up is it is available.
Mhm.
The problem is to make sure that it's ethically harvested, I think. You know, they're now it's pretty much all, I would say, ethically obtained. Back a couple years ago, people would go over to Madagascar and raid villages to cut down the ebony trees. But the guy who owns Taylor Guitar kind of I think he sold his guitar company, and now he imports ethically obtained exotic woods. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I like ebony, but if it's not documented, the stuff that we get is all documented
Should be,
and
yeah.
well sourced.
Well, I was telling Steve that I've been buying some of this wood from Woodpecker. And one week, the ebony was $60 for one piece, 3 inches wide, 2 feet long. A week later, it's $32. No, and at one time, I bought about 10 pieces. It was $16. And I have a friend that works there, and he goes down and picks out the really dark black ones. So their pricing is weird. It bounces around, and I don't know why. But I haven't bought any from them because the shipping. I was going to buy some type of wood from them, and like 6 pieces were going to be $100, and the shipping was $120.
ouch.
So I said, no, this isn't. If you do the board feet thing, it isn't a smoking deal. And, if you figure out, this little piece and you do the board feet, it's like a third of a board foot, and you go, okay, that's $16. That's like $45 a board foot. But if you just need a little bit of it, it's, here you go.
Tell them kind of
Black Limbo.
Monday, what day? Today's Monday. Friday, we went to Peterman and we bought how many board feet? I got
50.
I got 25. We bought 75 board feet of this stuff, and I'm using it for some boxes. I'm thinking about making a few other. That's kind of good looking.
Yeah, it is.
It really, now some of it looks like that,
We call
very
it white
little-
limbo.
and then some of it looks like that. I think it really is nice to work, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sands
Oh,
well.
no, it's really.
It sands nicely, and
I would say on a hardness scale, just, it's sort of medium hard. It's not brittle. You don't get any tear out or anything, but we were fortunate enough that they had a brand new pallet.
Wow.
And maybe, I think he told me, I don't know if there were 80 board feet there, but we picked through about
every stick.
half of it. And what we left was white limbo. So
Wow.
we got all the good stuff. So
I would love to
So,
see Dennis. Love to see some videos on how you make a guitar.
Yeah,
oh,
that's one of the things that Kevin asked me to do. And I'm trying to figure out, kind of the game plan. The making a guitar is actually fairly easy once you get all of the thing you need to make a guitar. You know, the forms and you kind of figured out in your mind how to do it. And and the making of the components to make a guitar, you know, the fixtures, is really kind of boring. In fact, this video that we're going to have tonight is very similar. What Ed does for the, now we're going to have a video on the bent lamination wine holder. And it's you have to make the fixture before you can make the thing.
Yeah.
And in a guitar, I've got, you know, maybe 10 fixtures.
Yeah.
That is required for me to make a guitar. You could make one guitar without fixtures, but it's a pain. It's really tough. So you make the fixture and then you can make multiple guitars.
Doesn't really work even with one. I made a classical guitar and I had to make fixtures for it. That's it. Just made it a lot
we're
easier.
breaking up.
Do you make electric or just regular guitars?
I make regular acoustic guitars. You know, 6-string and 12-string guitars. I put electrics in a couple of them, but I don't really like doing that because it does interfere with the acoustic quality. But yeah, I make a really nice, and I'm limited to, I only make guitars with walnut back and sides and redwood tops. I might actually make a spruce top guitar. I've got some special wood. In fact, remember the walnut that I cut up on one of the videos we presented here? I may put a spruce top on the walnut that was cut that you guys saw. I'm thinking about it. I'm not really sure. In fact, since we're still gathering people. Hello, everybody who joined us.
You guys are really
I've made
freezing.
3 acoustic guitars. What's that?
You guys are really freezing up a lot.
And breaking up.
What?
Yeah, freezing and breaking up.
Yeah.
Well, our signal is good. Let me make sure. Yeah, I noticed that we were breaking up. So yeah, see, it kicks me off of the, basically.
Got nothing now.
Uh-oh.
We
Now he's
lost
really
him.
gone.
Oh, they're gone. Bye-bye.
Is that better?
Oh,
You're back now, at least.
Okay,
He
we're
froze
back.
up completely
oh,
for
we
a
hear you, but I don't see you.
Here I am.
All right, you
Oh,
gotta
there we
pin that
go.
to the top.
Yeah.
Okay, bear with us. It's always, for some reason early on, it always messes up. But this is the form, one form that I have to make to bend. I don't know if you can see it inside. There's a real thin piece of walnut. You have to make this fixture first. And this is one of, like I say, many fixtures that you use to do it.
Yeah. The problem with making an acoustic guitar, from my experience, is they have to be made very precisely. The neck is canted down at approximately a 1-degree angle. And if you don't do that, when you put the strings on it, it'll pull the neck up, and the strings on the 10th and 14th fret are sticking up about that high, not even playable. So it isn't quite as easy. Dennis is an expert at it.
Okay. Well, while we're this kind of in the interlude before we do the video, I actually, I'm in a little group. Hey, thank you, Kenny. Kenny Mays, he's my bandmate. And
Hi, Kenny.
he's probably muted, but I have a vintage, very expensive Dobro 12-string that I play when we take it out. But I really don't like it. So I've been in the market for a 12-string electrified guitar. So I've been lurking in the guitar stores, and I actually went last week and I found one. It was a Taylor, really nice Taylor 12-string. It was kind of the bottom of the line model. And it was perfect. Somebody bought it, didn't like it, and turned it back into Sam Ash. And I looked at it and I said, yeah, the action, the strings were really high above the fretboard. But I know how to fix that. It was unplayable. So I bought it
Yeah.
and I took it apart and I adjusted the truss rod. And now it is absolutely, it's near perfect. The strings are just a few thousandths above the frets and stuff. So I highly recommend making guitars and learning about it because you can find good deals.
Yeah.
How much
And
was something like that?
the tailor was half price, you know, to
So
buy a
what's
new one.
half price?
To be truthful with you, unless you're gonna do what Dennis has done, he's gotten heavily involved in it over, what, about 6-7 years
Yeah.
now? I tried a couple of them. It's not for the faint of heart, and you're gonna invest a lot of money in forms and this and that. And if you wanna make one, go buy one.
Yeah, you probably be money
Yeah,
ahead.
really, I mean, I'm just being honest, so,
There's a lot
If you're
of,
thinking of making guitars, you should buy a kit first and make
Yeah,
a guitar
actually,
kit. And
yeah.
if that turns out well, then maybe step it up.
yeah,
that has been the recommendation. Thank you, Kenny. That is what I would highly recommend.
There's
Uh,
nothing like making your own guitar from scratch, I'll tell you now.
I agree. My criteria for guitars are, first of all, it has to play well. That's the number one criteria. And the second, it's got to sound good. I don't care what it looks like, but as long as it plays well and it sounds good, that's all that matters.
look at Willie Nelson, his
Yeah.
guitar, there's a classic example of,
Trigger.
yeah.
I agree with you, except I like my guitars to look cool too.
But then after you get them playing good and playing well and looking good, then you can paint tulips on the sides and all that kind of stuff. And I'm all for it. You can buy $100,000 Martin guitar that is just embellished with $99,000 worth of inlay. I don't think I would want to play a $100,000 guitar, but I've seen it. So yeah, we'll explore, all of these subjects with Kevin would like to do like an online thing where we would have, all a video of all the steps that you, instead of doing it in this format, to share it. There is a lot of stuff. I am a practical woodworker, and I think that's kind of the difference. I am a woodworker who makes guitars, not a luthier who makes, one way. I'm like everything I do is untrained. And we'll get started on the video in a minute. But working with Ed said about guitars being real precise. Who's the precise guy? I couldn't make the guitars unless I had learned to be precise and like Ed, normal processes. Okay.
Guitars have to be very precise, otherwise they do not sound good. The tuning, you can impossible to tune even.
Yeah.
If you don't space out your frets properly.
Oh yeah, the intonation and all of these little subtleties that you got to know about and think about
Right.
them. And everything, somebody was talking about the precision of guitars. Everything on a guitar, it's all an approximation. Even the math that you use to set up the fret distances is an approximation. And I think it's something based on 12. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's kind of based on 12. There's you 12, then you subtract 12 from the distance, and then you subtract another.
It's called well-tempered. Like in modern Western music, we go off of a well-tempered scale. Like B flat and like A sharp are slightly different, but for the sake of being able to play in multiple keys, we just round it out and make it the same.
So that's my story, Kenny, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, you guys want to watch a video?
Absolutely.
Let's
Okay.
roll it.
Now, the production quality of this video, my fault. I went over to Ed's house this morning and we did the video. We did the raw footage of the video, and I was in an automobile accident a couple months ago, and I spent all day getting police reports and dealing with the insurance companies and all kinds of, wasn't my fault. So I got home, had lunch, and I forgot to edit the video. So Ed and I were editing the video here at 4:30. So
So you're gonna have to listen to me talk a lot. Okay.
okay. Okay, so first of all, from what I've understood, and it's only 8 minutes. Okay, there it is. And I'm gonna
You mean I
shoot.
only talked for 8 minutes?
No, I actually talked for 12 and I cut out.
Oh,
4.
okay, good.
Must have only been about one thing.
Woodworking. Okay, here we go. Sharing screen. And then we're gonna enlarge this thing. Just bear with me here. We'll get everything kind of shuffled over and with this guy. I may stop it because I'm talking in the background and it's hard to hear me. So I may stop it and do that. So here we go. And Kevin says hello. And maybe Joan. I don't know what happened to Joan. We're back in Ed's shop, and today it's going to show us how to make this wine bottle holder. It's a bent lamination. Say hi, Ed.
Hey, good morning, everybody. We kind of have a little fun project today. Something that you can do quickly. They make great gifts for people, and they're also a nice, what do you call it? Conversation piece. People love it. Well, to begin with, everything starts with the drawing. And what this drawing is a side profile of the wine bottle holder. And it actually indicates where you're supposed to drill the hole, because that's important for the balance in the center of gravity. So the first thing is to make a bending point. Now, the wine holders are made of 4 strips of wood that are approximately a little over 1/16 of an inch thick. There are some other versions of this on the market where they take a big slab of wood and they cut this out of a piece of wood, and I thought that was a big waste of time and money. So I came up with the idea of doing this bent lamination. The beauty of the bent lamination is you can do them all out of one kind of wood, or you can do them out of different kinds of wood and have stripes in the middle of them. You can do your own take on it. So basically, the first thing I did was made this bending form. It's 2 inches thick, basically 3 pieces of just plywood, Baltic wood plywood. And the beauty of this drawing is if you overlap this drawing on top of this bending form, you can see that that's the template right there to cut out your profile. So initially it starts out, I'll try to sandwich this together, but it starts out as one big block. Then you glue this template on top and you take it over to the bandsaw and carefully cut it out so that it looks like that. And that's your bending form. What we're going to show you here is a finished one, and there's a little bit of spring back, but basically it fits into the bending form like that. And if I just push on it here a little tiny bit, it'll close in. So Ed, what is the thickness of the ply piece of wood? Talk about that for a second. Yeah, real quick. See,
Okay, I asked Ed, what is the thickness of the plies?
are anywhere from about a 16th of an inch or a little heavier, or in decimals, 0.62 to 0.7, 0.07.
How many plies?
4 ply. It basically, with this dimension, the wine bottle holder will come out about a quarter of an inch thick.
What is this guy right here?
Now, okay, this, I mentioned earlier with the drawing, this is the side profile, this is the front profile. And you need to make one of these out of some material that's flexible, because after it comes out of the bending form, you're gonna take this, and what I do is, you'll notice the bending form has a mark right here. That's the center line, and I put that little mark on the unfinished lamination, bent lamination. Then I come over, and here's the center line for that hole, and I will put this inside and line up this center line hole with this. And I'll mark, I've got a little center hole, and I'll mark it and take it over to the drill press. And you don't have to do anything fancy on the drill press. You just put it on the drill press like this, and 1 3/16, and just drill the hole. Very simple, straightforward. And then after that, you can do the tapering on each end, but you really need to make one of the.
I did that on purpose.
Position of that hole is very important for the balance of the bottle. If it's located anywhere off of that, it may tip forward or tip backwards. But that, now I do have, other than this drawing, I have a full-size drawing that's available with this template, this profile, and dimensions on how to make the jig, if you're interested. Okay, first I'm going to clamp the fixture to the table, obviously, so that doesn't move. Just a couple of clamps. And then let's just put this in here. This has got the glue on it. Get this started, and then I'll take the clamp out. Now, normally I would have a clamp ready to go, but we'll do it this way. It's kind of a two-person job in a way, but you can do it yourself if you want to. There we go. Okay, now we'll start at this end here and put this clamp here on here. And I just work my way around.
While you're doing that, you have to put wax or something so that it doesn't stick to your.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. You want to put some wax on your bending form. Put this one down here a little bit tighter. There we go.
And then after it's all clamped up, about how long would you let it set in the form before you put the clamps on?
I would probably, I've been letting these set in the form for about at least a day or two, just to be on the safe side. And
Say the longer the better. You didn't work with 1 day, but 2, it's gonna be better.
yeah. So that's about it right there. So after that, after it comes out of the bending form, there's going to be glue. You clean it off and do your shaping, and that's it. And a little bit of sanding, a coat of finish, and you've got a conversation piece, a little birthday gift or something. But it's kind of a showstopper. A lot of people come in the room and go, "Oh my gosh, how does that do that?" They're kind of mesmerized with it, and it's really just after you get the strips of wood cut and everything, you're talking just maybe an hour project or something.
Yeah, I got one last question. Ed.
Yo,
Where's the bottle opener?
It's here,
Okay.
it's here.
That's too early to bring.
Yeah.
Okay, say goodbye, Ed.
Bye-bye, everybody.
We always do a little comeback. What did you just say, Ed? Are you using scrap wood?
Oh, it's a great project for using some of your end cuts. The only thing is it has to be 20 inches long. A piece of wood that's 20 inches long and about 2 inches wide.
Say goodbye for real.
For real, bye-bye.
Let's see, now I gotta stop share. Okay, what do you think of that? That was only done with like 2 or 3 different periods of time. I mean, no script. I start shooting and I think I only had, what would you call it? 3 segments, so.
Do you ever veneer them or after, Ed, or do you just use or cut like walnut slices, or you just use that bendy wood?
No, the wine holder is actually made out of, hardwood, nice wood. The bending form is made out of your wiggle board. Or you can use Formica, if you have a piece of Formica, anything that will conform to the contour of that. Because you got a 5-inch radius down in the bottom, so it's fairly tight. So if you don't, you'd be fighting it, the main thing is the alignment of the hole. That's the reason for it, so I can position it exactly. I haven't experimented that if the hole's in a different place, it'll work or not. This works. It's not one of these projects that I want to refine for the rest of my life. It's like, hey, I don't want to do anything else today. I'll make some wine bottle holders. Boom, it's a diversionary project. So,
How do you get them that thin? With a drum sander or?
yeah. Well, Dennis and I both have the luxury of having dual drum sanding machines. So I will probably cut the pieces of wood on the bandsaw, maybe 10 or 15 thousandths oversized, and just run them through the sanding machine to the desired thickness.
You could do that seems awful thin. You could do a 1/16 of an inch thing through a drum sander.
Oh, without, that's what the drum sander is
yeah.
made to do.
I've gone down to as low as 30 thousandths, a 32nd of an inch. If you really want to cheat on a drum sander, make yourself a sled and then just compensate. Let's say your sled is 3/4 of an inch thick, and put your pieces of wood on there, and then you can take it down. You can sand the thing right down to nothing. The machine doesn't know, so you'd set it at like 800 thousandths, and you'd be taking off the desired amount. So you can cheat. I've never done it on a piece like 8 feet long where I got to make an 8-foot sled or something. No, but a small couple foot sled like that, you can. But
I
But
routinely,
do you for the wine things, or you think you could do that without a sled?
no, you don't need a sled for the wine things.
no,
A 1/16 of an inch is well within the tolerance.
let me tell you about the drum sander. They're designed where you can run the drum sander right up into the belt if you want to. They don't have a stop on it. And there's a long story why I know that, but so
won't go into
technically
it tonight.
speaking, you could sand it down to like 10 thousandths of an inch thick if you wanted to, but you run the risk of the sanding drums touching your feed roller.
Feedbacks in. I routinely go to, what's 3 millimeters? I was gonna get my conversion thing.
Well, that's 90 thousandths.
It's
You know,
1/8 of
3
an inch.
millimeters is about around 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that routinely.
Yeah, no.
The sides of my guitars are 40 to 60 thousandths.
Is the drum sander like really worth the money? I mean,
Yes.
where would you?
Yes,
put
yes,
it?
yes, and yes. Okay.
But why? I mean,
Michelle, there are so many things you can do with it. After you, like, let's say you're making a game board, a chess board. You got 64 squares. It's all got glue. You clean off the glue and you run it through the drum sander. It'll come out perfectly flat. It's a real time saver. It's mind boggling.
Now, one of the things that, you know, Ed and I typically use rough wood. We buy it unmilled from the lumber yard. But when we have the need to buy the pre-planed, it comes out at like 79 thousandths or 80 thousandths instead of the 3/4. Well, you buy a load of, let's call it 80 thousandths thick walnut, and you run it through they're not the same. They're anywhere from 0.77 to 0.85. And you have to get them precise, Ed's flat, straight, and square, and also it's got to be, the thickness has to be uniform. So if I buy a load of pre-milled stuff, I routinely run it through the thickness planer to get them all exactly the same
You mean the
thickness.
sander?
The sander, the drum sander.
But the sander, the drum sander, that's not gonna make it flat and square, Do you know what I mean? I mean, you got your joiner that you use.
If it comes off of the planer, okay, if it comes off the planer and the thickness planer, and you can only go maybe, I've thickness planed maybe
Quarter.
3/8 of
Yeah,
an
a
inch.
quarter of an inch is pushing it.
But anything now or skinnier than that, I wouldn't run through my planer.
No, it'll shred it. It doesn't like that.
So you have to start off with a fairly close, or you could actually run a piece through the belt of the drum sander 100 times, because you only take off a 10,000th
Yeah.
or a tiny bit. So doesn't replace the thickness planer.
It's not a thicknessing machine. It's a
It's
sanding machine. Now, there's a whole story. I would never recommend to anybody to buy a single drum, 110 volt drum sander.
Bad move.
Now, see, I forgive me. I wasn't a fan of them either, but the Maloof, that was all that they could afford. And we only had 110 volts. I don't remember the brand. You remember the brand?
Powermatic.
It was a Powermatic, cantilevered arm.
Fairly wide, about 20.
It could do, I think it was a half of 22 or 28, maybe 28. And it was so sophisticated. If the draw on the 120 motor was getting too great, it would slow the feed rate down. Now, what is your main criticism of that cantilever?
First of all, that machine's about $2,500 plus tax and
Yeah.
shipping, okay?
Yeah.
It's in the category of a little bit more money will get you a dual drum, 220 volt sander. My experience and the people that have had them have all gotten rid of them because the smaller ones, they're so underpowered, maybe not this one, but you can take off about half the thickness of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They're not really made so, and they're running about $1,500 to $1,800 now.
Yeah.
They're not like $200. I know 3 people that have had them and they've all gotten rid of them because, but the theory of the cantilevered one is they're 18 inches wide or 20 inches. Therefore, you can take your board, run it through and flip it over and do the other side. I don't know.
Yeah, we never, at the Maloof, we never stressed it that much. We always, I think the biggest thing I did was a 20-inch little tabletop. But like Ed just said, it's 120 and you can only take off the tiniest amount. But again, the key to that particular machine, I think, was the fact that it would sense the load on the drum
Mhm.
and it would slow the feed rate down. Sometimes the feed rate was going like,
A snail's pace.
A snail's pace, yeah. But we weren't in production like what Ed and I have done in the
No.
past. It might be something to consider if you're you know, buy a used one, you know the negatives of it, use it, understand it. And then when you find it doesn't work, sell it and buy from a,
Now, Dennis and I both have digital readouts on our sanding machine. We can take off a thousandth of an inch at a time. That's another thing, that when you raise and lower the mechanism without a digital readout, you are kind of taking a guess on how much you're taking off. And trust me, you take off too much, you'll shred the paper, or it'll stall out the machine, or something. And both of our machines have two drums. I run 80, 120. Dennis runs 120, 120.
yeah, but
Same.
one
You can
roller,
put two different grits on.
yeah, one roller is just a tiny bit higher
Right.
than the other one, just infinitesimally.
Yeah.
The front one is just a taste higher than the back one. And
So if it was a choice between a domino machine or a drum sander,
Well, Michelle, I would take out a second on your house and buy both.
oh, let's put it on the list.
I'm sorry, Michelle.
On the list of priorities, I was actually, the reason I bought mine was I redid the cabinets. I've told you guys about it before, but I have, like 36 by 24 panels of solid walnut that I needed to flatten. And that was justification for me to get the good dual roller 220.
But it has so many time saving, okay, like these strips for this wine holder thing. I might cut out 30 or 40 strips and I take them over to the drum sanding machine and I line them up. I can put 12 of them across there and run them all through at the same time. And they're exactly all the same thickness. And if I want to take off another thousandths of an inch, how are you going to take off a thousandths of an inch uniformly without it? So it all depends on how you want to work or the tolerance level of you're trying to achieve. But I wouldn't be without it.
Hey, Bill.
so
How do
then,
you
Then
feel?
you have the bonus of like having all your stuff sanded at 120. Like you don't have to go back and sand all your
Oh,
flat
yeah.
surfaces at 120 anymore.
so
But
then
I'm-
do
oh,
you
oh,
use it like for furniture? Like for the pieces, let's say you're making a dresser or something. Do you use that instead of a hand sander?
Okay, actually, we just have my friend William, he joined us. William, Joyce, would you care to answer that question? Because that's what you did all day.
I just joined in the middle of the question. Could you repeat the question for me?
Michelle, you want to repeat the
Okay,
question?
so it started when they were talking about the drum sander, and I asked if it was really worth the money, to acquire it. And they both said, yes, absolutely. But, but then I'm like, well, what do you use it for? Like
Okay.
if I'm making a dresser, can I put the wood parts of the dresser through it? But then do I have to do the hand sanding too?
So you do not avoid hand sanding by using the drum, okay? And the drum does provide a level of uniformity that you probably could not get very easily on a large surface area of a piece of wood. So it really does provide a certain level of uniformity, especially that may come in handy also for joints and pieces fitting together. Yeah, if you don't have the money for a drum sander, you could sand. You just have to have a very good art to it to make sure you're covering the full surface uniformly.
Yeah, and
Dennis, what would you say to that?
okay, yeah, to elaborate a little bit, what Mr. Joyce, Bill, I call him, I don't know, now you got me worried about calling you William or Bill. We've been working together for the last 4 days.
Good.
Okay, William, I like that. I like William. He's making we're calling it a kitchen caddy, and it consists of a 18 by 36 two or several panels. And I actually had Bill avoid sanding the very ends where the rabbits are, where it's gonna go into a rabbit. You know, he cleaned up the best he could in the 90% of it. And then we ran it through the drum sander. And that's when we measured it a consistent 0.7. I think the thinnest one at the ends was 0.748 and the up to 0.756. Okay, so it got us in that ballpark. When we cut the dados into the top to these to fit, then he can actually hand sand and fine tune that few thousand so it fits perfectly into the dado. That,
There's no doubt that if you're just doing a one-off, you're not going to invest in that kind of expensive sander.
that's a luxury.
But if you genuinely do want to start creating some larger pieces of furniture and all that, it does provide a facility, an ease, a felicity of getting it to where you want it to be.
How do you guys feel about a multi-purpose type machine?
A multi-purpose machine.
Right, I have a Woodmaster. All right, I bought it back in, I think it was 69. It might have been 72 when I got back from Nam. But anyway, the thing is, you take out the drum, you put in another drum, which is a drum sander.
Right.
Right. There's another head that you put in, and it becomes a molder because they sell you blades to make molding.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's a surface planer.
okay.
All right. Now, it also has a separate motor, a variable speed motor for your feed. So you could dial it down to extremely slow. And you could also pass it through super fast too. But
Yeah.
I've had that and I still use it. And
Yeah.
it will
That's
go with
expensive.
one.
Was it expensive?
Back then it cost me about $800.
Right.
I don't know what they run now, but
Well, everything's 10 times that now.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I would say it's probably close to $1,500 to $2,000 now.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of tools in one, and it's 220. It's not 110.
The only discussion I would have about the or the combination tools is the way I work is I go from one tool and over here and I flit around and, you know, if I have to stop and reset up in fact, my Inca jointer planer, thickness planer is a combination. You can actually take half of the top table off when you use it as a thickness planer. And it was always a pain and it interrupted my workflow. I put up with it for many years, but then when I could afford it, I bought two. So I have the same exact machine, one set up for thickness planing, one set up for jointing and planing.
Right, but when somebody's limited to funds, that might be an alternative.
I think that the joiner planer, thickness planer is a totally reasonable thing to buy, except you do have to kind of shift gears. You know, you have to
Right.
stop, set it up. At the Maloof, we have a bigger version of what I have. And I mean, you look to use it as a thickness planer, you actually have to rotate the outfeed table up to use it as a thickness planer. It's fantastic for the use that we do up there.
See, on that machine, the head doesn't move. It's the table that you raise up and down.
Yeah, my table, yeah, the tables, yeah.
Right.
I'll give you another example, Michelle. Let's say you're building a big bookcase and you have dadoed shelves all. What I do is I cut all the dados real close to what I want. It doesn't make, let's say 740, 750, it doesn't make any difference. Then I take all the shelves, take them over to the sanding machine and sand them exactly the thickness of the dado, and the whole thing goes together like a puzzle.
Yeah.
You
Perfect.
couldn't do that without a sanding machine. You'd have to monkey with the dados to get them exactly the way because you don't have any way to like precisely. The sanding machine's capable of elevating a half a thousandth of an inch at a time. It just depends on how much you rotate that lever. But without a digital readout, you can't tell how much it's going up and down. And so
Yeah,
I wouldn't be without it.
yeah. You asked the question about the Festool
And the sanding machine.
Domino. I actually, I found that the drum sander, I would buy that. I mean, in my
Yeah,
mind, I bought mine
yeah.
first, and then I bought which was a game changer for me. And then I bought the Domino machine, which was a creative game changer for me. So that, practical nuts and bolts woodwork and drum sander,
Right.
creatively the Festool, the Domino machine.
I think with the Domino, there's other joinery you could do what a Domino does, where the drum sander, there's nothing else that really will do that thing.
This will do so many different things for you that the drum sander.
Yeah.
That you'll go, wow, unbelievable, or, so.
I do watch a couple YouTube videos on occasion, and this one guy said, well, do you really need a Domino machine? And he said, no, you don't. You can, and then he goes and puts on a demonstration of what you can, forget the Domino machine. So he put on a demonstration on how to do joinery like a domino, but without the Domino machine. And the first thing he does is he brings out, what is the biggest?
Mortise and tenon.
No, he brings out the biggest Festool router, which is like
Oh.
$2,500 or
Yeah.
something. He brings out the biggest Festool router machine, and he creates this elaborate jig template, fixture, whatever. And I said, no.
Yeah.
Use dowels or dados in lieu of the Festool. But like Kenny just said, there's no substitute for the drum sander.
There are a number of, do not buy one with the rollers that have Velcro on them. There's one company, Shopbox or something like that. Theirs have,
Yeah.
theirs have Velcro on the rollers. Just envision you put the paper on there, how much play. The rollers that Dennis and I have are either hardened rubber or steel. There is
Steel.
no give between the paper and the roller. And a lot of people have complained they have to put duct tape on the ends of the paper. The paper doesn't stay on the Velcro. There's a lot of inertia with that thing going around. It's stay away from that Shopbox brand. Shopbox is sold on Grizzly. They're pushing them, but and they're not much cheaper either, about the same price. Well, now that we've drained your bank account, Michelle.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, well, then how long does that sanding paper last?
Or ever, unless you have Joan using it. Did I say that out loud?
No, actually, it's a function of the user.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You try to take off too much material with that thing, and all of a sudden, you'll pick up a spot, it'll burn the wood. Okay, and then now you've got pitch and gum on the sanding material. Well, guess what? Pitch and gum don't sand, they burn.
Yeah.
And then I've tried to chisel it off, and it works for about one pass, and I just take the paper off and put another.
Yeah.
But you also, woods like teak, bloodwood, anything with a high resin, pitch, and gum content, you got to be really careful, because it'll pick that, and then it gets that burn mark on there, and you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, you try to take off too much, and the board will go through, and it'll grab that paper and shred the paper. So
What about the sticks that they use on belt sanders that clears the belt, the grit off of it? I found that to be very successful.
I have to literally, if I get some burn, I literally, in fact, I have a chisel that is plug or that's lashed to the on and off switch. If it gets a burn, I have to pick it up and I actually have to scrape off the flakes. If I don't do that,
Yeah.
it'll just get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
But you ruin the little strip of sandpaper
Right.
around that area. But if you don't get rid of that, you actually, it's charcoal, basically. You got to scrape it off. In fact, William said, does that chisel need to be up on the on and off switch? And I said, yes. And I explained to him what it was used for.
Well,
lots of-
but in fairness, I said that because I was reprimanded for allowing the tape measurer to be on one of the other power tool machines, and rightly so. And therefore, I just applied that reprimand, not to Dennis, but to an inquiry. And I was informed, no, that is the proper place for that chisel.
We have a lot of fun in the shop. Right, Kenny?
Oh yeah, a bunch of fun. How did the caddy come out? How far did you get?
The caddy.
It is coming
Oh.
along. No, I don't think I think we could say that we have not yet made a cut into the wood that has been regrettable yet. So I suppose we look at it that way. That's for next time. Next time will be, the sort of like the decider.
We did 2 critical cuts. We cut the 2 sides to length. And if I remember correctly, it was 35 inches, right? For a 35-inch tall.
We have agreed
So-
on 35.
Yeah.
Apparently counter space is supposed to be 36. So I'm an aberration.
You're bucking the trend. So yeah, it's fun. I love every minute of it. And it's fun to work with enthusiastic people.
I have a solution to your problem, Michelle. Move to Rancho Cucamonga.
No way.
Then you can go, hey, Ed, can I bring my stuff over to your shop and run it through your sander machine?
But the
Oh,
problem,
no.
That's how I solved my lack of a drum sander problem.
the
Hold on,
problem,
where is the market for the resale of secondhand machinery? Because obviously people retire and they have these wonderful fully equipped places that they don't want to see abandoned. There must be a secondary marketplace.
there
for it.
is.
There is.
But you really have to know what you're buying, because if it's screwed up, so it's good to have experience, take a class, or if you're ever in Cucamonga, hang out here in my shop for a couple days or whatever.
Yeah, between the electronics on these and the motor and everything else, if you buy one that has a Band-Aid on it, I don't know.
Bill.
Are most of like the digital parts of it sort of aftermarket added to it too? Like, didn't you have to add your digital thing to yours?
Did you have to add digital stuff to your? Yeah, you got to buy it and add it to it.
Yeah.
Dennis, does yours have digital? Because that part you didn't show me.
I don't use it.
Okay.
Okay,
The digital actually.
I have it. I don't use it.
The digital.
You're hiding things from me. You're just keeping me coming back again.
The digital came as after I bought the machine. And it was out of frustration that I couldn't turn the handle accurately enough that I wanted to get the desired results. That's all. And the fact, like I said, you take off too much material, you shred the paper or you'll burn it or whatever. It was out of frustration. And ever since I put one, and Dennis has one on his, it's like a godsend. You go over and I go, well, I want 742, and you raise it up to 742 and it comes out 7.742.
It really depends. I'll run it through and mic it. And then I've used the machine enough where I know, what do we call it, William? A chunk.
Chunk.
Yeah, because it's a mechanical thing and it's kind of chunky, it goes clunk, clunk, clunk. And I have a calibrated, I turn the wheel a little bit and I know it's going to be about
Right.
a very few thousands.
Well, the other mechanics about the thread pitch that's on that lever is 16 threads per inch, which means every rotation of that handle is 1/16 of an inch.
Yeah.
So if you do the math and you said, well, if I go a quarter of a turn, it's a 64th of an inch.
Yeah.
If we go a half a turn, it's a 32nd of it. And so if you do the, even that, it's like a clock, that if you go, well, I'm just gonna move it a little teeny bit, it's probably 2/1000 of an inch. So if you know, like Dennis says, he knows the machine well enough that if he just moves it a hair,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a couple thousandths or
Yeah,
five, whatever.
exactly.
So,
But I always have a digital caliper. And
right,
again, when we're working on your project, we spend a lot of time measuring and making sure that it was correct. So. Yeah, boy,
okay.
getting close to the end. Now there will be no meeting next Monday, Memorial Day. But, okay,
Okay, well, that's in honor of the flag. That's good. There's my American flag, okay?
okay, good
I
match.
just want apple pie.
Yeah, apple pie. I talked to Kevin and I think his work schedule, I think he's gonna get back on the night shift, so he hopefully will be able to hang out with us in the coming months. But, and I forgot to, it was a hectic day today. I forgot to get with Joan and I'll shame him into coming back one day. I think he's really busy at his new shop.
I bet you all you need to do is like call him 5 minutes before and be like, hey,
If I
Joe,
did
it's
that-
Monday.
Yeah. I'm sure he is, for those of you who didn't see him a couple weeks ago, he's now running a 2,000 square foot shop and getting it set up and all that kind of stuff, which is really exciting. But we'll, in a couple weeks, maybe I can run out there and we'll do a video on him. So, and also Ed and I are going to go deliver our furniture to San Diego
Tomorrow.
I'll video that. And then in a couple of weeks, maybe when we come back after Memorial Day, we'll have a video on that process and stuff. If Ed Gladysney lets me do it.
That
friend.
would be awesome. I'm
that.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say we're entering, you've got 3 pieces.
No, two.
Oh,
Two here, 3 in Orange County.
Okay. Well, I'm about done.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We do. And, oh, just one thumb up? Come on, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Ed, your cutting board got home safely.
Oh, are you home?
I arrived home at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, well,
So I took naps. I'm a little tired at the moment. Hopefully I'll be normal tomorrow.
I'm glad you made it home safely.
okay, guys and gals.
Have a good 2 weeks.
We will see you
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
Awesome. Well, you guys
Awesome.
have a great evening.
Will do.
All right,
I'm
well,
hungry.
bye.
Have some lunch. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, take care. Have a good evening.
Signing off. How do you do it? Stop in meeting.
There-
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
In meeting.